I've been in business here since 1972. My father and mother started the business in Tacoma, actually in this building, in 1930. And I'm the third generation. My grandfather was in the Oriental rug business too. Well, they're all handmade. They come from about 7 Middle Eastern countries, India, China, Pakistan, Turkey, Afghanistan. And they're all hand done. They'll take usually months or years to make. They'll vary in quality as well as size. And they're supposed to last for not just for years, but sometimes generations. Well, we take about 5 things into consideration. First of all is the quality of the wool. That determines your durability. And of course the wool comes generally from sheep. There are different qualities of wool from sheep, and different areas on the sheep where the wool is better than others. Some countries have sheep grazing in very high altitudes, where the severity of the weather helps the wool to have more lanolin in it. So wool is very important, the quality of the materials. And then of course the design. It has to be something that is pleasing and exciting, enjoyable to look at. And also the colors have to be something that people enjoy and are drawn to. In fact, color combinations are probably one of the first things that people are drawn to in a handmade Oriental rug. And then rugs vary in their weave. Sometimes they're woven with several hundred knots per square inch, and other times they're woven with more like dozens of knots per square inch. They're woven on a loom. The loom usually is the size that the rug needs to be, so if it's a big rug it needs to be a big loom. And the weavers just take 2 of those strands that are wrapped around the loom and grab 2 strands at a time and twist the wool around it in a way that it makes a knot, and they just travel along the rug from side to side and knotting the rugs. Very time consuming. That's why they usually work either months or years on a rug. Rugs that are large, there's rugs in our store as large as a 12 by 15, and usually 3 or 4 people will work on a rug of that size, so the rug can be woven faster. But smaller rugs like we were seeing earlier up on the loom might just take more like several months for people to weave, and usually just one person can be on a loom at that time. Well, the largest rug we've ever sold from our store was 17 by 27. Let's say 1950. I think it's sold, my father sold it for about $8,000. That rug came back into our store after the owner died some years later, probably a good 20 or 30 years later, and I think it was sold for $25,000 used. Of course it was in mint condition because rugs can last for 40, 50, 60, 70 years. Probably I'm going to throw out maybe about 200 different types of patterns and styles in Oriental rugs. But when people come into our store, don't know much about Oriental rugs, we start explaining to them that, do you want a handmade rug either from China, or do you want a handmade rug from, we say, that's more of a Persian pattern as a general category. This is an example of a Chinese type of rug where the patterns are simple. There's not a lot of design going on. There's not a lot of colors. Usually they're not really bold. They're a little more soft and pastel. And then we switch to something more like this. This is more of a Persian type pattern where the patterns are busier. There's a lot more color, and the colors tend to be a lot more bold. Once somebody says, well, I don't want the Chinese type, I like more of the Persian type, then we get into saying, well, the Persian type can be divided into what we call the geometric type. To my right is a very good example of what we call a floral Persian rug. It has a lot of flowers, rounded patterns. It tends to be a little more formal because of that. And the opposite of that, which would be more of a geometric, it's more tribal, it's more informal, the lines are straighter, And as people begin to look at rugs, they will say, well, I don't want a formal look like in the red one over there, but I do like more of the laid back, simple, not so formal, geometric type. Very fine. This one here, it's about 400 knots per square inch, which means that in an area of about this size right in through here, which is about 1 square inch, there are 400 individually hand-tied knots. Whereas if I look at this rug here, you can see the bumps on the back are much larger, and there might be only 50 knots per square inch in an area like that. So depending upon how long it took the rug to make often indicates how expensive it can be. We say that a 3 by 5, 3 feet by 5 feet would run, it should run somewhere between $300 and $600. 4 by 6, 4 feet by 6 feet would be more in the category of maybe $600 to $1,200. That's quite a range, but that's generally the price ranges from the lower quality to the higher quality. Of course, there are some 4x6s that you would spend $2,000, $3,000 for, but the general good quality rugs that you would want to use on a daily basis in your home would run in that price range. The next size up usually is a 6x9, and they run closer to about the $2,000 category. The 8x10s about $3,000, and the 9x12s about $4,000 to $5,000. Again, there's a big range above that and a little bit below it, but that's a pretty good average. Most customers will purchase a rug 9x12 size and smaller. People would start in their living room, and then followed by their dining room. Definitely then your entranceway and hallways. That then usually gravitates to their stairway to cut down noise, if nothing else. Then a few start going into their kitchens and their bathrooms, and also then as they get more Oriental rugs, they will probably start hanging them on the walls. A few of our customers will roll them up and put them underneath their beds and in their closets because they love Oriental rugs so much that they're almost collecting them and rotating the rugs around at different parts of the year. They're works of art. People often sometimes will want to walk around them rather than on them, but we say they're there to enjoy, and they give a lot of pleasure to those who own them, and durability, and all the things that you sometimes want on a floor.